Okay, we're live. Okay, so just so everybody knows, fire is gonna move to Wednesday. We will not have a Monday meeting. We'll combine, fire and police on Monday, on Wednesday. So our next scheduled meeting will be Wednesday. I will have version B, which will be, populated with a lot of stuff. I'm also gonna put the tentative column in there and start trying to move stuff over to tentative. So version B will have, I'd say probably a 50% change from the meeting today and from the meeting that we had on Monday. Just a couple quick housekeeping things on that.
Just one, I have to contact fire to make sure that they're
Yes.
available on
Yes.
Wednesday.
Okay, yes, that's true.
So Wednesday,
Tentative,
assuming that.
tentative, or without
I
this.
will contact the police chief, let him know that the 29th has been canceled, and March 2nd, 7 o'clock.
He's scheduled already for the
On the
second.
second, yeah.
He's already scheduled. Fire was the only one scheduled for Monday.
Right.
Oh, that's what I said. It sounded like this.
Yeah, I heard.
didn't it?
Just want to see if we're paying attention.
Yeah, thanks, thanks.
Okay, so that's that. Oh, also, bond offering, was successful. I was hoping for a better rate on the ban, but the serial bond had a pretty good rate of 1.84. And the ban was, about 1.2. All right, so it was about half of 50 basis points higher than what I was hoping for. But it seemed like there was a little less interest in it than we had last year. Greene County Bank won both auctions. So the number, I was expecting a little over 2% on the bond, and we went under, and that's 9 years. The 1 year offering is, like I said, 50 basis point higher than I thought, which nets about $3,000 more in interest than what I was hoping we would be able to get in a rate. Still a great rate, but, we got a little,
Right.
with a .49 rate, we got a little spoiled, so, but, overall it's good. So the closing is next Thursday, and the proceeds are going to be received next Tuesday. And we'll have all the old band covered, and then the new band and the new bond will be put into place. Looking through the budget prep report, there's a couple things I just wanted to make sure on. Everything that we talked about on Monday as far as the requests were good, is my understanding, except for the sweeper. Is that correct? Because I'm trying to put okay, because I want to move these to the tentative
We
column.
were okay with the dump truck, were we gonna structure that differently?
We're hoping
Yes,
to
so,
recoup some money from this year's budget to go toward
The
that.
majority of the
Yeah.
money's going to.
did we use any snow plowing yesterday? Was there any?
I didn't see anybody after
There was
hours.
salt.
There was.
Not overtime.
They
No
sold it during
overtime.
normal hours, I
Yeah.
believe.
Okay, all right, good, so
Yeah.
that's savings right there.
I think, because I was paying
Right.
attention to the trucks go by and all of a sudden they stopped and I.
Well, and that's the thing, that Gary and Kev, I give them Kev the water, come 3 o'clock, as long as they can, they back it up and we'll get it tomorrow. As long as it's not gonna interfere with the village
Yeah,
business.
thanks for doing that. That was good thinking. It saved a lot of money. And it was crazy, it wasn't this
Yeah.
expensive.
We're self-conscious, we're all taxpayers here, so,
Yeah.
so we have to look at the goal.
Exactly. Okay, so, I'm looking at, like, buildings, page 3 of the document, page 4 of the document. Under buildings, which is 1620.04, I put an okay next to that, 59.7.
Yeah,
Okay, I put an okay under central garage for equipment and for contractual. Okay, so I'm just letting you know that these are all sliding to the tentative line, so, okay, next page, page 5, on-street parking. The total salaries, equipment, and contractual, all I put down as okay. Next page, street administration. There's one entry there, which is for contractual. That's it, there's nothing else entered there. Street maintenance contractual, $128,100. And that's where we put 75,000 for the truck. I put that TBD. We can move that to the tentative line. We'll see where the numbers end up, and if the numbers don't support it, then we'll take it out, and we can always, after the public hearing, if the numbers look like, because by then snow should be pretty much done, right? Because public hearing is end of March. We would then be able to have a better idea if we can fund the truck, and then we can put it back into the budget if we had to.
And do we know if we can use the 10,000 in reserve, vehicle reserve for that?
I have to verify, I haven't had a chance to verify that, but what we will do is, for me to fund this, I'll know that the fund balance will be getting like $60,000 back, so we will appropriate fund balance into the budget. Like right now, I'm saying that you really don't have any fund balance to appropriate. Okay, but if we do have that surplus, you'll be able to appropriate some fund balance, because we know that that will go on top for the fund balance. So, so that's a scenario that, you know, we might be able to accomplish that. Next page, sidewalks, 04, contractual, I put an okay next to that. I put an okay next to parks, all of those figures. Bottom of the page, I put an okay next to storm sewers contractual. And that's it for the stuff that we've covered so far. Okay, I have some other items I want to talk about, but I don't want to hold up the department heads. Let them go first, I think, right? Okay, and then we'll follow up. I have questions on historian, attorney, like I asked you guys on Monday, you know, to consider it, because I want to start populating those areas. Okay, so, so water is toward the end of the document, and I'll page number this as we move along too, so I can refer to it. The water fund is about 4 pages from the bottom. And all board members have been given a copy of the submissions from Kevin. And again, Kevin, like most of the other department heads, did turn their requests in on time, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so without further ado, Kevin, Water Department, you got it.
Good evening to all the board members and trustees. The water plant budget 2016. Not too much of an increase. I'll hit the major items. Our chemicals, we budgeted a little bit high because we don't know what the bids are gonna come in yet. That's when we do that, June 1st. So I used conservative numbers on that. The other biggest allowance is getting our shed repaired. We have a shed up there where we keep all our fittings in. We just need some plywood for it and stuff, so I budgeted $1,200 to do in-house repairs on that. And that was on F8340.4. That'd be item number 6. And also, to that same item, I put in $14,000 to have the 2 water tanks pressure washed and treated. Because then, you know, we had the painting done on there and everything, so it keeps the mold and everything from forming on it.
You got a problem with that already?
Yeah, it's got staining already. Well, we figure the wind coming down, we want to preserve the paint on there in case there's any chipping or anything.
Right.
And that's from a company,
How long ago was that? That was only a couple of years ago, right? You painted it 3 years?
3 years ago. But you figure the environment it's in,
Yeah.
coming off the mountain, the road salt mist and traffic from 9W and everything. We're starting to get a film on the tanks. We
Yeah,
wanna
that road
protect-
salt mist is definitely,
We want to protect our investment, we spent a lot of money on the tanks, and that's our,
Do you go out for bid on that, power wash?
yes, that was something we would go out and bid on.
Okay.
But I called 2 places, and they all both came in with preliminary prices
Okay.
to get that job done.
again, just so we can use the proper terminology, we're going out for quotes. I don't think we're bidding it.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, if it's under 35,000, it's gonna be quoted.
Okay.
That's the state requirement. Just so nobody's confused.
Yep.
That was the 2 biggest items for F8340.4. And for, under equipment, F8340.2, we put in $10,000 more to build up the truck reserve fund,
Right.
if we can get another truck for the water plant. The DPW took the other one back, so now we're down to one vehicle.
Can you explain that? Was it your truck in the beginning and he took it?
No, it was DPW.
Okay.
When I was running
This is the
DPW,
old
I had a
Jeep,
truck.
the old Jeep?
We took the Chevy, the sewer plant had the old Jeep,
Oh, okay.
but now we're short a vehicle now, which, you know, two guys, doesn't take two guys to do a simple task, but, you know, in the summertime, we gotta check the reservoirs every day, the pool operations, water shut-offs, meter readings. But I know we've been putting money aside the last few years, we're just looking for a basic vehicle. Something bells and whistles, 4 wheels, and an engine, heat, that's it, just to do our daily operations.
What do you think of like a light pickup truck?
That's all we need, we don't need a plow on or nothing, we have more than enough plows.
Four-wheel drive, half-ton,
Yeah, that's all, something basic.
something in the bog now.
Yep, bog, keep our valve keys on there, transport chemicals, nothing fancy, just a work truck, we're not,
Mhm.
you know, we need to do a job with it, and that's what it's there for, to do a job. That's pretty much it. Everything else stayed the same,
Chemicals, you added the number, what kind of increase did you go with your chemicals?
9,290,
That was your increase?
yes,
Okay.
from last year.
When you talk about chemicals, you and John go to the same person for a quote?
We go out to, well, we send a public bid out, we make a bid package, and we usually get 3 or 4 bidders on that process.
That would be a bid, Brian, because it's gonna be over 35,000.
I was just wondering if two departments wanted it, would they give us a break on it? That's not as much.
It is for, it's considered water and sewer
Okay,
for the bid process.
okay, thanks,
And all the chemicals have to be NSF certified
okay.
and stuff like that.
Just Kevin, just quickly,
Yes.
with the water truck reserve, when do you need the truck? When is the request to get this truck? For next year?
The June 1st, yeah.
June 1st, all right, so that wouldn't be a reserve. You right now, if the board approves, putting the reserve that's been set aside for this year away, you'll have, $20,000 in the water department for the truck reserve. So this 10,000, if you're planning on buying a truck, you're not gonna wanna put this in a reserve fund because
Okay.
you're already going to draw from that reserve fund, and you might wanna just fund this under the equipment line and just take off the reserve. So leave the line there, just cross out reserve, because it's not gonna be a reserve contribution.
Okay.
Now, the question for the board is, what does the truck approximately cost? 30,000 or something?
It'd be under state bid.
It's probably a little more than that for a four-wheel drive.
I can get some conservative numbers and have something to you by Friday.
Okay, yeah,
No more.
just so the board has something to work with, because, what you'll be able to do then is earmark how much you wanna put in that equipment line to make the delta of the 20,000 that you already have. So if the truck's 35,000, you're gonna have to consider a $15,000 contribution. Now, I will say that again, this board made a very strong decision on the water rates, and it's helping the bottom line of the water department. Last year's fund balance was just over 300,000 for water. I'm expecting this year's fund balance to be north of that. I don't have those figures yet, I'm still waiting for the auditors to give me the updated information. So from a performance perspective, the F fund can afford that expenditure. It's just a matter of how you want to fund it.
Any questions from the board members on any other items?
Well, fluoride looks like it went down, and yet the polymer went up significantly.
Yeah, we've been using a lot more, then with the weather changes, and we've been using a lot more of the chemical over the last year.
But
Why?
we're anticipating less fluoride?
Yeah, because the, New York State and the CDC adopted the fluoride levels to be lower now.
Oh,
We were
good.
running the 1.0, so now it's 0.6.
So
We have
it's
to,
safe,
so we're saving on fluoride, which is very costly.
but the polymer went up
Yes,
to
Well-
like 10,000.
yes.
What's the function of the polymer?
That's a coagulant we use for in the process of the treatment of the water coming in.
I think John had expressed the same sentiment. Let's work with that.
Yeah, because last year we budgeted for 7,200 gallons, and this year we're budgeting 8,000 gallons. still at $5 a gallon.
Is the fluoride required?
Yes.
Teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had something about the high levels that were not good for children or something.
And water testing,
It's required by the state for all our sampling we have to do.
but that also looks like it popped up. quite a
Yes,
bit.
because of the services.
The training, you go through training every year?
Yes.
In your department?
Yep,
I think it's part of your license, right?
yes, it is. Yeah.
And that's held steady.
Yes,
Fuel oil, is that for the trucks or the plant?
that'd be for the water plant.
Or
We-
oil up there?
Yes, we knocked that down to $2 a gallon.
Is there gas line up there?
No, and by Julian's at the top of Milton Avenue.
Now,
That's not
plus,
that far.
plus your cost of retrofitting, all that stuff with the price of oil where it is right now.
So we did lower that down.
Your payback would be quite a while. Now,
45
if
is what you
if
use.
oil pops
Yeah.
back up, then you can reconsider.
Well, this year it's probably a little lower because we're going by past
Yeah.
numbers averaging, so. The other thing was, everything was just the chemical usage, so we get the bids in, but conservative numbers we've been using to get us in the ballpark.
How are we on fire hydrants?
We have, one that's out of service, I talked to Gary, so we're gonna get that one going as soon as the weather breaks a little bit. But we still have we still have hydrants in stock, we always keep a few,
Okay.
that we always do. And just, biggest thing is just our chemicals, and your utilities are our biggest expense, that went up. And it's hard to project those because, till we get the chemical bid, but we've been using conservative numbers on those.
What are we running on electric?
We budgeted 600.
Oh, I know that, what are we running on it? What are you running on it?
Biggest thing is our pumps in there. We have a backwash pump, which is a 50 horsepower motor. Sometimes we run that twice a day, 4 minutes. But it's a demand meter, as Bobby would tell you, that's what we get picked up on, but we try to, everything's fluorescent in there. Our meters are constantly going.
Your biggest load are your motors.
Is the motors in the house
Man
pumps.
meter there, so they pick up the highest reading and the multiples. There's really no way of starting a 50 horsepower motor
No,
softly.
No.
You know, I mean, they have soft starts, wide delta things that'll bring it in, but it's still,
it's still a
a
big
whole lot of
consumption.
amperage, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's not much you can change up there, and I'm sure you could put in some LED light bulbs and things of that nature, but.
Yeah, everything's fluorescent, we've been keeping up with the upgrades up there and everything.
Any other questions?
Water leak survey and equipment, has
That-
that been under budgeted in the past?
No, we've been doing pretty good. We knocked it down 1,000 for repair clamps. We've been doing pretty good on that. The maintenance and repairs is still the same, permits are still the same. And we only increased water leak emergency equipment. We increased that by 1,000 from last year.
Yeah, that was
We had more this year.
Yeah. Yep.
How many leaks a year do you get usually? I mean, do you have a 10, 5?
Usually, for conservative number, anywhere between 12 to 15.
Okay, that many, okay.
The system's getting older, but you got a lot more traffic on the streets now.
Is it less on less severe winters?
No, we've been getting,
Okay.
I mean, these last few winters, we had a few, but we're seeing more and more, the traffic loads increasing in the village. So you're getting a lot more buses, heavier delivery trucks, you know, the vibration. I mean, some of the leaks are simple, we're just getting main breaks. But it's the way the mains were put in, we had one sitting on a piece of ledge. Took us 2 hours just to jackhammer the ledge to get a repair clamp on it.
Let me ask you an opinion when they start doing something at Lady, whatever it's called.
Lady Cliff,
Yeah, Lady Cliff.
South Coast?
Southwest there. How is it gonna look with those trucks coming in? We're gonna have the trucks coming in and
Yeah,
out
heavy
more
trucks.
than ever.
Yeah,
Can we make sure that they use the state highway?
we still have mains on South Main Street. Either way, they're coming in.
Unless they go through West Point.
Yeah, they would have to come down West Point Highway there. Yeah.
I think that's something you really need to look at.
I think that's something we need to address with West Point.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the fact that we're gonna end up with the brunt of
The impact of loads.
The impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm wondering-
Statistically, one tractor trailer equals 5,000 individual cars.
I think, I guess Chief Scott will be on that committee.
We're seeing more and more delivery trucks coming down Mountain Avenue,
Yeah.
coming in, everything converges around West Point, not to knock West Point, but it's the only way in to the village here. We're seeing more school buses
Well, you can
on
go
the
back,
back
use the back door.
right, that too,
So
but you're seeing more buses,
What I'm
delivery trucks,
suggesting then is
more heavy equipment on the
Chief
village
Scott,
streets.
bring that,
You know, it impacts the system.
Bring that up
It's
to that
impacting the
when
road
we're negotiating.
surfaces, the water mains, the sewer mains.
No, but they're going only on the state highway, they're not going on the village roads, are they?
he just would-
Well, we're suggesting they do,
We
but
got mains on Mountain
there are
Avenue, South
mains
Main Street.
on the state roads.
Okay.
So the damage, even though it's damaging the state road, it's our water system.
And the sewer lateral where.
Sewer lateral,
issues
yeah,
before.
storm drains.
So that was, we're going to the back then, right?
Yeah, it impacts us either way with water, sewer, and storm.
Even the back way?
Yes. Well, no,
No,
I
he's
think
talking
coming down
Stone
Mountain
Mountain.
Avenue.
I don't know something.
A lot of them come down Mountain Avenue also, because, they get detoured, or they come into Thayer Gate, now they're coming back through, up Mountain.
Well,
Avenue.
I will tell you this, you guys do have one option if you don't get cooperation, and that is you can one-way the road next to Memorial Park, because you own that road. And then you will, no trucks will be going down that way.
I think we really need to take a look at that, especially with the infrastructure the way it
Remember
is.
that? You guys can make that road one way going up. So any trucks coming down Mountain Avenue have to turn right, and they can't make that hairpin. So they'll end up going all the way to the end and going West Point Highway straight in, and they won't even touch Mountain Avenue.
But then they're impacting our south end.
Well, I don't know if you have as much critical stuff on that side
Yeah.
than you do on Mountain Avenue.
South Main Street, we have two mains, well, three of them, pass on York, we have three mains going down that way.
Well, then I guess one of the things that needs to be talked about is who's responsible if that
The
happens.
repairs.
Repairs.
Not even repairs, upkeep.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time we need to set up and make the
Yeah.
argument of, we need standard federal aid per year.
Yeah,
Upkeep the roads of the people coming into your, we're not getting anything from them. We're not getting any money from the feds. We need some kind of a standard upkeep per year. We map out over the last 10 years what's broken.
Infrastructure impact.
Exactly.
This would be Maloney's office.
yeah. 'Cause that affects your water, storm, and sewer, that's our utilities, and we're stuck. as
Also
taxpayers.
be advised, I talked to some security people on West Point, they're telling me that next year, if you do not have an ID, or not driver's license, you do not have an ID for West Point, you have to go through the visitor center
Right.
to get on post. So that's gonna change the dynamic of a lot of stuff.
Well, we're working that out also. Hopefully, Landy's actually working with us to get everybody in the host community who wants IDs, which will help.
So, help me out here, how will we get this type of information to people who are going to be on the committee?
Well, the infrastructure impact aid is directly with,
I'm talking about, our chief is gonna be meeting with whom?
Landy.
Landy. So, how do we get this information to the chief? After we all meet and you help us with what's here,
Yes.
what's there, what's there?
Include Gary Boyce also, as the street superintendent, would be good, the road
Yeah,
conditions.
probably could carry out all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is
And
no,
Johnny from sewer.
there is no
All the department
meetings.
heads for that.
What are you gonna request?
Yeah, we're gonna request it. There's nothing in place right now, with the exception of Kenny talking to Landy about parking.
What
So
about the,
now
what about the quarterly meetings?
It could be discussed there, but really, there needs to be a separate meeting of the specific South Post issues during this construction, because it's timely.
Yep.
It needs to happen now, 2 or 3 now. I'm meeting with him tomorrow morning, so I'll discuss that with him.
So 7:30.
Yeah. With Landy and the assistant garrison commander. So, and Landy's out in July, just so everyone understands. Our real, I believe, Tom is gonna be the real contact, and the conduit for the next garrison commander. Very positive guy, very open to the community.
Yep.
But, so is Landy. But now it's time to actually get results. You know, it's very nice being positive, they're willing to work with us. We've got to start setting our small and large goals and actually accomplishing them with these people.
What is that called, infrastructure?
Impact aid.
aid.
Okay. Okay, those are some of the things I had.
Okay.
No more questions?
I did want to put to the board, I believe that the water and sewer departments should be charged for IT costs.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to do the same ratio for IT, 25, 25, 50, so 25% to water, 25% to sewer, 50% to general fund for IT costs.
You have that on here, I thought, right?
I have it as a note. It's not, IT is on the A fund,
Okay.
but I don't want to put a separate line item. I want to make it as an inter-fund transfer
Okay.
to add to the insurance and so on. Now, they're also, the administrative staff are going to, for all the envelopes and postage, all that stuff is going to be charged to the right departments. We're gonna try, we're not gonna be able to get every minutia thing. It's very difficult. You need about an extra 2 full-timers to get everything to collect information. But the big ticket stuff, we're gonna definitely attack. So, just so you know, for your budget purposes, that you'll have some charges related to
No
that.
problem.
Well, not just that, Gary, I don't wanna leave Gary alone to do what he's gotta do. I need you and John to work your end with DPW, police, and even the clerks. If you're seeing any cost, anything whatsoever that has to do with your department, needs to be charged to your department. In the past, it wasn't a big deal with this cap, that's the only reason we have to do this.
Right.
So Gary's come up with a form, I need you to follow up with him on that.
Okay.
So that we charge back everything that we're able to.
Yeah.
And moving forward, particularly this last leak,
Yeah.
that all comes out of your fund and not the A fund. Again, that's gonna help us keep the A fund where it needs to be. But also with the clerks, with police, anytime police are needed, whether it's traffic, whether it's whatever, again, that needs to charge everything out that's possible.
Yeah,
It's related to your.
right. And that's acceptable, that's what you should be, you shouldn't have to come out as a general fund. every
Just a
time.
little more work to do.
Again, it wouldn't matter without the cap, we couldn't cap, but
Right.
we have to do that.
But it's good business practice as well,
Correct.
so it shows that we're keeping everything in check, in line with everything, and that, each department's responsible for their
Yeah,
activities.
it's just,
Any other questions?
Excuse me, sorry. Nothing?
No.
Kevin, thank you very much.
Thank you, board, I appreciate your
you'll
time.
get a number on vehicles?
Yes, I'll have something, yeah, right away on that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Now, with that truck,
Yes.
when we're looking at the study for consolidation, that truck shouldn't go to District 1. Is there a separate fund, or we just sell that truck in the process? When I say that, I'm saying we're gonna buy something else now for $40,000 at the time. In 2 years, 2-3 years, if we consolidate, now it goes to the town.
Yeah, but this is a water department truck.
It would be in
It's
the
gonna
water
stay in the water
district.
district.
Saying we're District 1?
Well, essentially, the districts would be, they might be termed that way. Right now, I think the way the town's got it, they've got water district 1, water district 2.
Right.
They might rename the districts and make it this one being 1 and this one being A, and then the other 2 districts. So it's still going to, it's gonna be an asset for the water fund.
Okay.
So you're really not gonna need to do much with it.
We need the truck, but at the same time, I don't wanna make any major purchases.
Your water and sewer funds, you guys have a lot more flexibility because those funds are performing, okay?
Okay. Is everyone ready for the next?
It's the A fund that you use.
You ready for the next? Okay. Jim?
How are you?
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good himself.
Lisa's number went up?
Pardon?
Is that Elisa's number off legal counsel? The 6?
I think it's reversed, if you look at it.
Huh?
Where at? Which one?
That's proposed.
Legal counsel says,
That's last year.
That's
Went
last
down.
year's. That's last year's.
2016 proposed, okay.
Right.
All right.
Well, I didn't know if it was adopted, I didn't just have those
Oh, okay,
numbers
all right,
handy.
I'm sorry, we'll get more.
Just so y'all know.
Okay.
All right, so in essence, I reduced the budget by $800, which is about almost 7%. You know, just keep trying to chip away every year. And that was based on engineering and legal fees that we utilize, we utilize the legal and the engineering to advise the board.
That's a
So-
total for all her meetings and Al's meetings, representation at those meetings?
That's correct.
Okay.
So we didn't use that much last year, so I figured we could cut that down. But we might need some office supplies, especially some dividers and things like that, so we can make sure when the transition does happen, it's gonna be easier for all of the files to get combined with the towns. So we definitely gotta do some housekeeping on that. And I noticed that we've been getting charged some fees from the Orange County Municipal Federation.
Okay.
So that's why that other number went up a little bit. But in essence, we cut 1,000 off of the, that top line, bumping the other ones up by $40, you know, and $160. We still didn't exceed the 1,000 that we cut.
What is the continuing education classes?
Those are classes for, we're in MS4.
Is it mandatory?
Are they mandatory?
Mhm.
There are mandatory classes, and then there's the continuing ed for the MS4, and that book continually changes.
Okay, what is MS4?
It's a municipal stormwater, and we are in MS4, so it's for stormwater pollution prevention plans.
Okay.
You have to do
and-
quarterly, right?
Yes, but that book has changed from 2003, I believe in 2008, 2010, and 2015. So the book constantly changes. And we all know that we have flooding problems in the village, so any education that the board members can get on the new stormwater rules and regulations is only a plus for the village. I've spoken with the board previously about this, that, you know, you only need to actually do a SWIP if you're disturbing over an acre of land. That's a problem, because we don't have too many parcels that are over an acre of land. So what happens is people are coming in and filling the lot up with impervious surfaces, but if they don't go over an acre, they're contributing to our stormwater infrastructure, but they're not complying, but they don't have to comply with the stormwater rules and regulations. Now, we can make it stringent, more stringent, but we need to look into that.
Okay.
I'm working on doing the zoning portion of the code right now. And in that, we have discussed it at the last meeting with the account about getting some of that changed. Because if you'll notice, in the townhouse condominium new law, that agreement, that only calls out the building itself. It doesn't call out decks, it doesn't call out driveways or things like that. And it's something that maybe we should take a look at as far as percentage of lot coverage. I mean, there's simple things that they can do. Rain barrels, which are relatively cheap.
Right.
You know, little rain gardens where they could actually have their downspouts go into a garden area, and it would capture that water and utilize it for watering the plants. So small things like that that we should probably take a look at.
I just didn't know what the prices were. I have no problem with it. I just didn't understand it.
We can give you a lot more information if you really don't. I don't want to be here.
Open it up, open up the can.
Actually, we have the
I
class
said you're a
tomorrow.
beautiful
too.
person.
I have a class tomorrow too.
Good. I just didn't know what it was for.
Yeah, but those classes are gonna get cut, because I don't think the town wants to pay. But that'll be my fight with them.
Well, how many hours are you required to take a year in order to maintain your status as a,
Well, the town or the village can actually set that, and I believe that the county wants you to set that. I set it as, you know, Orange County, planning gives classes, and they have two series. They have a spring series and they have a fall series, plus they have some other classes that they do, which are different than the continuing ed which Cornell gives out. Now, if you do one Cornell class, you're covered for 2 years, because it's an 8-hour class.
The way I look at it is, one, for those people that have been to these classes, it's not something you're like excited about going to. So for these planning board members that take the time out to do it, I think that's a low number. I'm okay with that, because these guys aren't in for 5 years. Any planning, zoning guys are pretty much in there till the end. So it's not something that we're gonna pay for and someone's going in 2 years. And I would advocate that to the town as well.
Yeah, any money to spend on.
That's very well money spent.
I would never say no, only because I think that stuff changes so often,
Mhm.
that really, you really need to at least once a year to check in and hit a full out there for some capacity, you know what I mean, from county on planning.
And I appreciate your standing in our corner like that. And maybe when we do the intermunicipal agreement,
We should have that in it.
maybe we could talk about that, please.
I think it's a great idea.
I'd like to check with DOS also, because I think it's required statewide for a minimum of 4 hours.
Yeah, those are the classes that the Orange County Planning gives out, and those are generally like 2-hour classes. So you end up having to go for, a few nights. And if you do one of these other classes, that can, be 8-hour class, but,
You're good for 2 years.
right.
No, I'm in favor of it also, I just didn't know what it was.
Who's the water liaison?
Be kind of silly for the elementary principal, not to be in favor of education.
Right.
So you guys comfortable? We cut the budget? I
Yeah.
could try to cut it a little more if you really needed it.
No, we're fine.
That's terrific.
Any other
You're a
questions?
breath of fresh air.
More questions?
I do.
Okay.
Jimmy, you have 6,000 remaining in your contractual, which is good. Do you expect that you guys are going to be spending much of that, or does it look like that's probably not gonna be that needed?
We're probably gonna spend some of that based on the zoning portion of the code that's coming up, unless the village has set aside some money for that somewhere else, which I don't think you guys have. So maybe we could utilize that, because obviously, that is it's a change in the law. So it's not that the planning board can do that, we're gonna refer it to the village board, but if our attorney can review it, and we're lucky that the attorney is not only a planning board attorney, but the village attorney, maybe we can pay for that out of the planning budget
Okay,
at this point in time.
okay.
Now, you're saying zoning, is there any way you can get into the zoning cost? Did you say it was a change in zoning?
The zoning portion of the code
Right.
we're working on. We're actually trying to get that portion of the code. Me, Eric, and Mr. Dunn were at a meeting, along with Jim Dunza, almost a week ago. And Fred Budd from the county
Right.
came down. So we're trying to make that the same, but there'll still be 2 different books. So that'll be one more thing checked off our list when we have to actually go through and redo that whole book, because that's going to be costly.
So you're using that to offset that expense?
No.
The money that's left over now, if we need it, yes, I can use that. I can have Elise review some of the documents that Mr. Budd has generated. Now, me and Eric are still working on that too. I mean, I wanna look at what the county gave us, and I wanna look at our code and see what they actually changed. I'm gonna put them side by side. Because I'm comfortable with some of the things that are in our code, but some things need to be changed.
I just want to make sure that we're not paying for something that the town can pay for. That's all I'm saying.
No, the town attorney's gonna have to look at that also. Because it's gonna be adopted not only in the village, but in the town also. So that they're gonna have to be comfortable with the way this is written. So their attorney's gonna have to review that.
Okay, good. I just wanted to see where you guys were with that.
Good to go. Any other questions?
And just so you know, I left in 5 members of the board just in case. I mean,
I'm with you.
that's what our law states it should be a 5-member board, and to
Right.
cut that by one, it really doesn't make any sense, just in case.
I agree.
Good?
Thank you.
No problem. Sure, now, hang on. I gotta go review these for tomorrow's, but that's okay, it's all good.
There we go, we're Nathan.
Yeah, it's the revenue expense
Thanks.
control report, I leave for you guys every month, I give you the report.
You wanna come to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's remember the one I leave out, so you guys, if you wanna see plan, I can give you, I just printed out. Anybody?
What's that?
Here's plan. Okay,
What else for time?
next is the administrative.
Move to the administrative.
Okay, ready for administrative now?
No questions?
Okay, so talking on administrative, we'll start with, page 3. I'm gonna tie in the board, the treasurer, the budget officer, purchasing, administrative, all in this one section. Okay? As I recommended to the board, as far as salaries go, it's really up to you what you do with that. My recommendation, based on what we're seeing out there, is 1% across the board. I will wait for that reply once you guys get there. We don't have to decide on salaries a second, we can do it toward the end before the tentative.
I think the county just did a press release about all the non-union employees. They settled an extensive contract, and from 2012 to the present.
For the union employees.
It was 0%. Was
For the
that union?
Oh, no, 0%
No,
was
0% was
Yeah.
non-union, and then this coming year was 1%, and all new employees are doing 16% on insurance.
On health insurance, yeah. So just for thoughts there, I do want to discuss contractuals. The mayor, let's first start with trustees. Trustees, for your contractual so far, we had a $2,500 adopted budget. Right now, you have spent about 900. So you have about 1,600 remaining. Again, this money is really for like schools, the conferences, especially for newer board members. I would definitely consider attending. So my recommendation is leave it at that figure, because if a couple members do go, you're gonna end up spending some money. Also, if you do like the Association of Towns monthly meetings, you get reimbursed from that fund. But you really haven't spent much this year because really nobody attended anything this year. So do we want to keep that at 2,500? Do you want to change it? You know, the year before that, you can see you spent about 2,000. Maybe you want to set it at 2,000.
Let's reduce it.
Reduce it to 2,000. Everybody, does that make sense for everybody? Okay, so I'll put 2,000 there. We're not doing the meetings there. The TV meeting is under the clerk's line now, so that stays at 0. The mayor had set aside for the assistant of $3,500, and right now nothing's been spent there. Mayor, what do you want to do with that line? Do you want to keep that line, or?
Let's keep it for now, and then we'll drop it if we need the money.
Okay, so we'll keep it right now at 35.
What's the contractual?
Contractual is for anything that you do, plaques, any type of recognition, any type of events that you set up. You had a couple things that you were doing. I think there was a concert series or someone, I don't know. I'm not
No,
sure
that
that came
didn't
out of
come out of
the,
here.
it might have come out of the celebrations
Right.
line. But you did have some charges. Right now, for your line, you've only spent $400 for the
Okay.
whole line. So, you know, we can leave it at 35 and, I'm sorry, we can leave it at 22.5 and, you know, go from there.
Well, we can bring that down.
Okay, what do you
I
want?
mean, I definitely would do more things, but I don't think it needs to come out of, I'm not, if there's something $1,000-ish, bring it to the board, vote on it and come out of something else, but I think we can come, if I spend
Well, I think
400.
like you remember you made those banners, those signs for
Right.
West Point? That came out of that line.
Okay, we do need to do more of that, which I don't know if it should come out of that line, but let's go to 15,
Okay,
and that way, we at least bring it down.
okay, 1,500. Okay, next, the treasurer line, no changes to the treasurer line, everything will remain the same. We did get an additional financial filing we're gonna have to do now that we have another serial bond, but I do believe I can absorb that in the contractual figure that's there. So everything just basically stays the same for treasurer. Budget officer, no changes there, that's just gonna stay flat. And the contractual for budget officer is largely for printing or anything like that. Quite frankly, last year, I really didn't even charge this account very much, but $100 is a pretty nominal amount, so it's just there if we need to do printing or any of that kind of stuff. The purchasing line, and you can refer to the submission that Gina had put forward. On the purchasing side, there's a request potentially to get a computer for the purchasing clerk. That's put down as $1,500. Administratively, we have been every year trying to buy a piece of hardware because a lot of the stuff was old. I think it makes sense just for efficiency's sake, and laptops and computers have come down quite a bit in price. That, again, this is one where it'd be a request if there's funding. Okay, and then the purchasing contractual, that is on the second.
On the letterhead, the actual for last year was 200, is that because we had left over and we didn't need it?
No, actually, we're trying to break it out better. I actually grouped together the copy paper envelopes and letterhead in a group number, and I'm trying to break that out, and I don't quite have that exact yet.
Oh, okay, so it's actually
those three
copy
to-
paper,
Yeah,
envelopes and all that, okay.
right.
It's freaking me out for a minute.
No.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to get a better
Got it.
handle on that. We're working diligently.
No, that's fine, now I understand.
Okay, so you can see where the purchasing numbers are, as far as the support for the totals. Again, there's a little bit of variation because these adjustments were post the last one that I gave you, but they're still pretty much in the ballpark. Gina's trying activity-based costs just a little bit more to try to break down a little bit more as to where the money's going with this.
Now, don't, TWSC is Time Warner Cable,
Yes,
and that's 15,000?
yes, that's the.
So we're looking at 1,100 a month. Is that because of our phone system?
Yeah, it's phone, internet, and.
Everything.
Well, no, still 1,100 a month is, I'm just saying, is it because we have the
It's police.
multi-phones?
Yeah, it's,
It includes the police?
yeah.
Everything eight.
Okay,
Yeah, all the 800 items.
okay. But that doesn't
The
include
building.
the garage, just this building?
Do they pay for IT?
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Separate.
they're A funds, so they're not grouped out. The beauty really is if the state had a scenario where the police departments would be their own special fund, then you really could scrutinize things a lot better. But right now, the police, anything that we get, any support, admin support, all that doesn't get broken down, because it's absorbed.
So O&R and all this is the whole building?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not just the clerks, just so you understand?
No, that's
It's-
under buildings. You're looking at buildings, I believe.
Right, I'm at buildings. For the buildings, we're talking police as well, with Time Warner Cable and
We
everything
didn't
else.
even
So
get the buildings yet.
I'm already there, you beat me to pick up the slack.
Can I just point out, I did add the one change I had with you in the purchasing, the rental of the postal meter. We just heard from the rep this week, and the rental price is going up about $1. And there's a new requirement now from the post office that you have a new label when you're doing certified mailings or packaging. So that would be an extra $3 a month.
So that total reflects
That $288 is actually a full year's worth of
of the postal
of
meter.
that, a new postal contract. It's up June 18th. And
Okay,
we actually lowered that from quite a bit last year, because before that, we had a postal machine,
Yeah,
and we were paying like
the Pitney
hundreds
Bowes
of
machine,
a
right?
month, right? And we went down to
Yeah, that's a nice
$20
savings.
a month.
That's a nice,
So-
especially since it's not needed.
So if the board's okay with that, we can send back the rental agreement that we're okay with that increase for, it's a 3-year contract.
Yeah, you guys all good with the agreement with
Yes.
postage? Okay. All right, so that's purchasing. Any other questions on purchasing? Oh, I did want to drop back, just so you know, for the audits on the treasurer, 20,500 is Nugent and Hausler. That's for the full financial audit. Now, I'm expecting them to hold that price for this year. I haven't gotten any update. In the letter that they gave us a couple of years ago, they said they were holding the price, so I expect that we'll be able to keep that price. You also have the GASB filing, which is about $2,000. Also, AUD support's about $4,500. The contractual line, which is 1325.04, is to pay for legal services with Dan Birmingham's firm, Hawkins. That is, again, that's very variable because it all depends on the number of bond offerings and/or grant requests. Okay, so I have to be conservative with that number, because if we do have several closings and if we do have several grant requests that have to be legally prepared, each one's about $1,500, $1,200 to $1,500 a pop. We also have financial filings with the SEC, a Security Exchange Commission, for our bonds. A new requirement in the last couple of years requires the new Munistat on our behalf to prepare a financial, it's basically a perspective of the village. And it's supposed to reflect a financial condition of the village to the SEC. That is in the $1,200 to $1,500 range also. So between the legal, the bonds, the bans, the closings and everything like that, I'm estimating $15,000. I'll tell you, this year, we have audit, we've spent about 23.5, and the contractual expense, we have spent about 4,000, but we do have bills coming because of the debt service thing that we're doing next week. It is gonna be a little less than last year because we've consolidated all of our bonds into one closing, so we're gonna save on not many closings. Last year, if you remember, we were consolidating all the bands into one super band. Every one of those closings had a fee. So there is an intrinsic savings for us by doing our debt all one shot a year. Because we save the legal fees, we all save that. After this year, I'm gonna take a look at this number for contractual, and if it looks like because of what we've done to make ourselves more efficient with bonds, I might be able to lower this number. Okay. Clerk, the television person, now, I understand we're probably gonna be looking for a new TV person because the gentleman that was doing it is not available as he was before because of work. But the expenditures for that were pretty close to 1,200, so we're going to leave that alone. Okay, next page. Clerk equipment, $2,900. You can see the detail on the printed sheet. That's a computer and printer, and massage chairs for the administrative staff.
She is worth
They-
it.
Well, but they haven't had changes of chairs in 18 years,
Yeah,
so
new-
I think it's
yeah.
time they could get a new seat.
Ergonomic chairs, that's what I meant. I figured everybody would perk up when I said massage chairs.
Are they heated?
They could be, I can make sure.
Okay, so that's the request for that. Then the clerk contractual is in for 8940. That's a change to the submitted number that's on the sheet. I'll update that. And then you could see the detail behind the clerk contractual. Now again, Gina streamlined a lot of the things in the clerk contractual, and we also do back each other up so that if the clerk contractual gets spent out, if I have money remaining in my contractual, it pays the items that come up for clerk. So there, it's kind of that, my figure for contractuals is somewhat of a backup if we do have expenditures that go past the budget, to make sure that we aren't having to get money from other sources.
I noticed we've got $800 budgeted for a shredded service.
Right, that was one of the updates I gave Ed. We haven't done that since probably 2013. And a lot of the old vouchers and things like that, you know, you only have to keep documents every 6 years. Well, we have documents here that are like in the 70s. We're running out of space.
When that service comes, I assume it's a really high-powered shredding
It's the
machine.
truck, they
Big
park
truck,
out,
yeah.
they park it out here.
Can that be something we offer to the community to come shred?
And that
their
costs us
own?
more.
No, because we get a quote from them on what they're taking out of here.
Oh, so it's just based on us.
Yeah, they come and they count and they look and they give us a quote on how much it would cost. And I'm guessing around there. That's about what it was when we did it 3 years ago. And I actually have probably 3 elections worth of old ballots that we can shred now. You know, they're just taking up space.
Where do you have all that stuff?
Well, some are in the back safe, some are in my office, some are up here, wherever I can find a niche. So if we're starting to get ready to consolidate things, it'd be good to clean out some of that as well if we can now.
That's a normal expense.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the banks offer that for their customers, so, you know,
Well,
if
there's a-
anybody asks about shredded, you know, hey, contact your bank, sometimes they have shredded days.
I think the town has a shredded machine right in June's office, but they must pay a monthly fee or something. We just do it once every so often to clear out and not have a monthly
Yeah.
one.
You can also have those cabinets that they have the bags in them and you put all your stuff in the slot and then every month they pick it up. That's also an option. So, but the shredded is necessary.
We're doing business.
Okay, so attorney. Let me cover all the, let me make sure I cover all the clerk stuff. We just have IT, elections, all right, so we'll just go in order. All right, so next is the attorney. Right now, we're getting very close to budget for the attorney. We've spent almost about $48,000 so far. We budgeted $50,000. Right now, just your standard costs are $37,000 for your village attorney, $12,000 for the mayor's attorney, and $5,000 I've set aside for union negotiations, labor law attorney. That adds up to $54,000 for legal services. Now, I will tell you, the town, who has a similar legal requirement, spends about $60,000 for legal services. Now, I haven't gotten their budget this year, so I haven't been able to look this year, but historically, they spent about $60,000 to have their attorney on retainer. Now, that attorney, though, does I believe, enter into labor law and some of those other things. It's almost like an à la carte, fixed monthly arrangement like we have with Elise.
But is there anything he doesn't do?
I think negotiations, contract negotiations, the actual negotiations, if there's any Article 78s and stuff like that, if they get to be more than routine, maybe they won't support that. But let's put it this way, when we had the whole issue in the town of the AUDs and all that stuff, the attorney worked overtime to help support a lot of that stuff. We were having like 3-4 meetings a month, and he was attending all of those. So there is, you do get some value if you really have a high tempo requirement. I think the thing you have set up here is pretty good. I do think the board might want to just consider trying to see if Elise can provide a couple other items of support with the retainer. And maybe be willing to include a couple other items based on workload, since you guys aren't having multiple meetings a month and so on, that maybe you can get a couple additional services on your retainer
What's
contract.
our commitment to her? Is it for the year? or-
Yearly.
Yeah, but you can break it at any point.
No, but I'm not interested in breaking it, I'm just interested in adjusting.
Yeah, no, but
So-
I mean that you can negotiate that at any point too.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, overall, I think that the board seems pretty happy with her support. Overall.
I just don't, and I'm not really sure how much we used 4 years ago, how much we used the other previous attorneys back in the day. But I just don't think that we're using it enough for $35,000.
And a lot of the things that we ask her to do, she says, oh, that's beyond the scope of my retainer, so we pay extra.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe
You
you,
should have done a little more homework.
yeah,
maybe,
well, you know
this
what,
might
you
be-
take,
and
you
put it
take
on the
steps,
table. This is what
maybe
we need,
two
you know?
trustees sit down with her and try to work out maybe a little stronger agreement from her offer that she made last year. I think overall, her quality of work, everybody's been happy with, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just a matter of just streamlining and, you know, trying to get maybe a little bit more deliverables for the fee that you're getting. And I think that that's probably something I would think she'd be willing to discuss, within reason. But you're, based on the contract negotiations and some of the issues related to some of the contracts that are above and beyond what we would consider normal, setting aside maybe 5 for the labor negotiator or the labor attorney, I would recommend you consider doing that. So the total that I have down, as far as what my recommendation would be for the board, is $54,000 for legal fees. Now, I got, I found $5,000 to make that difference by the next line, which is the engineer line, because you haven't been spending as much on the engineer.
Did you want anything?
Well, I was just gonna mention with the attorney, when we had the other group that wasn't on a retainer, it was an hourly.
Yeah.
So at the end of the year, the budget might have been close to 40,000, but it was an hourly. So they did, maybe those things like Elise says is non-retainer, but because it's hourly, it doesn't matter.
Right.
They charge for everything.
Yeah, they charge for it.
Yeah. There is economies of scale that she's a planning board attorney also, because you don't have duplication of work and so on, so there's some value there. You know, just maybe streamlining a little bit might be worthy of a discussion. So going to the engineer line, I was looking at the engineer spending so far this year, and your engineer spending was $10,000 with some bills still outstanding, so you're probably looking at 15,000 right now, and you've got 20 remaining. So I lowered the engineer number down to 30. Again, these are recommendations. Give me feedback if you don't think they should change or if they should change more.
Don't we have some big projects coming up?
But isn't that cost of those projects in that project?
Yeah.
So, I mean, are
Yeah.
we doing less with engineers now? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we're also costing out engineering to the F&G funds.
Right.
So that's changing your requirements for the engineering for A fund. So while the engineer's here doing things, it could be one of the special districts that he's working on, and not A-fund engineering. Your A-fund engineering has largely been requirement stuff, okay? You know, just the overall reporting requirements.
Planning board, that's in there too? Can you say, is that-
Planning board has their
They're
own,
trying to get a $5,000.
yeah, they have their own expense there. But like, there's,
Well, the HUD grants, for the
yeah,
senior citizen, the engineer did that.
yeah, you know, a lot of stuff that,
Tearing down the house on Center Street.
Yep. yeah,
Okay.
you know, also the bathrooms,
Right.
the disabled bathroom stuff. So,
They did that sewer, was that last year, that was a sewer main break, that was,
but that went
Yeah,
to the
but that
sewer
would be-
fund.
yeah, that was the sewer fund, yeah.
So, and you don't have a lot of A-fund projects right now. And, you know, you'll have to discuss if you wanna have any other A-fund projects, but right now, I think if you put it to 30, if it looks like we need some money at the end, maybe we take another 5 off, and you put it at 25 for A-fund. So I put it as 30, you wanna leave it at 30 right now? Okay. Elections this year, there's obviously a bunch of elections coming up between primaries and the village election next year, which is in this budget. There's a $4,000 set aside. That's pretty much all encompassing.
I think I lowered that a little on my update to you, Ed. I think I put 3,500.
Okay, elections, yes, 3,500. All right, so that's gonna go down 3,500 to 35.
The biggest cost in those elections is the ballots, just so you know.
Yeah.
Who's up? You're up, huh?
The mayor and 2 trustees.
Bob,
Next March.
Bob, Pat, and Anthony, next month, yeah, a year from now. Anthony's already knocking on doors. Okay, next is buildings, we got, let's see, next is reserve fund. I just want guidance, do we wanna portion the same reserve fund that we did last year? Where we did the fire department, the police department, and the building. And that equated to, I believe we had it at 60, total reserve funds were 65, I thought. Let me just check.
59.7?
Well, it says 60, but I'm just looking at last year's, because I didn't put the total, because it's a little funky the way this works, is the reserve funds are considered, 65. So we set 65, and I think the way we broke it down was 10,000 for the police vehicle, 10,000 for the building, and then 45,000 was the fire department, broken down by 3 things, if I recall. And I have to also research out, maybe, Charlie, maybe you remember, do you recall, we did forego one of the reserve funds to pay for the pumping truck that had to be fixed? Do you recall off the
Yes.
top of your head what that amount was that we, otherwise I'll have to look in the minutes. I wanna say it was like
Well, I
15,000,
was gonna say
I believe-
15, so maybe
so
we both came up with that.
because that's going to be, for the fire truck, we're not gonna make that contribution this year because we paid for the repair. Do you have a note down maybe?
Unpaying truck fund.
Okay. So maybe it was 20? I can look at the minutes, but I just thought maybe somebody had it at the top of their mind there. All right, it's either 15 or 20,000. So the contribution this year to the reserve fund is going to be either $50,000 or $45,000. So do we want to contribute the same breakdown ratio?
Building is more. Needs more.
Okay,
It's time.
well, again, the building is a reserve fund, so you're not planning on using it
No,
tonight.
I'm gonna use it.
Well, then you're not gonna put it in a reserve fund.
You took 5 this year,
We
remember?
took 5 for the heating system. Yeah, so you have, really only 5
Back.
going.
Went back.
This doesn't answer the question of how much we used for the, here, but that's the capital reserve, 33.
That was last year. Yeah,
That's 213.
yeah, that would have been 14, that would have been the, that would have been the health thing. Yeah, I'll have to look at it. Okay. All right, so the breakout for the reserve funds will be what? How much to each thing? For
20 to building.
8 fund reserve, how much?
Yeah. We don't-
20 to building.
20 to building?
Except 45 was left.
No, you're talking 2 different years. 45 is going in for this year's budget. We're looking at next year's budget, which is what we're talking about here. So do we want to put 20 aside for next year for building? Village Hall repair reserve, 20,000. I have 10,000 right now.
No, 10 is fine.
10?
Well, I might somewhere else.
But only 5 is going in, Ed,
Yeah, for this year.
for this year.
Yeah,
Where did we find the rest of the money for that board? Just came out of the 8th fund?
for the boiler.
Yeah.
Well, we had money in the building fund, the contractual, we took 5 out of the reserve and 5 out of this year's reserve, that gave us another 10. And I gotta look at it, I think it was total like 35,
Contingency.
Yeah. 33, 35, something like
and the contingency, we took money out of.
Yeah, I had that on my spreadsheet for you. The cost, the actual cost is on the spreadsheet.
Okay. Okay, yeah, if you look on the spreadsheets, Gina has under building contingency 25, building reserve 5. Okay. All right, so, how much to the police car? 10,000 to police car?
that.
Yes.
Okay, police department, reserve, 10,000. Okay, we'll hold off on fire department until we have the fire department meeting next Wednesday, hopefully. All right, so technical support, the IT support, if you look at the, page for IT, the budget is 23,324. That's listed on your version A. And the breakdown is put down on the spreadsheet. Is BCI Media Vilcito?
Yes.
The only thing is, we still get so much spam.
Yeah, last year,
Kills me.
I forgot to put the alert system in the number. That's the difference why it was more.
When they do that this year, so you don't get all this, man?
We've already talked to him, he says it's not him.
Yeah.
He's, I personally talked to him, I'm like, look, we get all the spam every time. You get a lot of spam, right? I probably, 60% of my emails are some type of, you know.
Marketed spam?
Marketing.
I get
It's
it.
marketing. I know, I
I
get
get
rid
that
of it.
at home. I've done everything, even my cell phone.
If you-
Call after call
Yeah, I
after
get that
call.
on my cell phone, but it's,
Just crap.
No, but they should be able to, we're paying for it. They should be able to filter it out.
You can't filter everything out. You can't filter that stuff from us.
No, I know, but they should be able to filter some of the stuff.
Well, when you get spam, if you mark it as spam, that, it won't come from that spot again. Your computer will block it.
Hmm.
You'll just delete it.
Okay. I will do that.
You don't really delete that, you actually mark it as spam.
I just delete them all.
Put them in your spam folder.
I just hit delete. But I worry sometimes that I might over delete and delete a message I need to read.
I've done that, yeah, a few times,
So,
If that is the case, that's the way to do it, because then it's that specific one, and the same one will end up being 20, it's like a hydra with the love balls only.
yeah,
Once you do that, 5 others will come back, but at least that particular one won't keep coming back.
okay, so technical support, as I said, that's the number, and we're going to have the F&G funds make their contribution. Unallocated insurance, I estimated 150,000. We got to speak with our insurance broker to get some numbers from him. It does tend to drag out a little bit with that insurance broker. I don't know if it's the quoting or if it's him. I'm not really sure yet, but I hope to get some numbers there. Municipal association dues are gonna stay at, well, they're gonna be 2403, I'll populate that. That's essentially Nikon, which is about $2,300, and $100 to the Association of Towns, Orange County.
It's worth it.
Yeah, well, if you call for the attorney support, if you get enough phone calls, I know the mayor's really run up the bill over there at Nikon.
They love me.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Everybody loves it that.
I got a list of them, actually. Trying to grow.
All right, judgment and claims. Judgment and claims this year, fortunately, have been under control. So I'm lowering that number a little bit. Judgment and claims right now so far are $10,000. So we have a balance of 15,000 remaining, so I lowered that to 20,000.
Sorry.
MTA tax will be about in the same ballpark, it's gonna be about 76, 7,700.
Let's not pay it.
Yeah.
If we didn't pay it, what would happen?
Putnam County went that route.
Did they?
Yeah, they tried, but no, they got slammed. It's a state unfunded mandate. And by the way, we also contribute in 10 other taxes and fees, even though less than 1% of our population in the county uses MTA. It's the most unfair tax going.
And then you see trains falling off the track and everything else going on. All right, so again, we'll properly fund that, it's gonna be about $7,600, $7,700. Contingency fund, right now we have $78,000 in the contingency fund. We did remove we did take some contingency money for the furnace and for the, insurance. But overall, the board has done a nice job not tapping into that very much. And that will, if we're able to keep maybe 50,000, that will go toward that 200,000 we have to find. So, so that would be nice. Okay, so contingency, I was gonna set at 75,000. And again, that is fungible based on where our numbers come in as we get closer to the tentative budget. Let's get police department, let's get fire department. Safety inspection contractual. Again, we didn't budget, we did have a number come in. You might wanna consider what you wanna do with safety inspection, cause that applies to, I'm trying to think of the example that came up recently that had to do with safety inspection. Gina, do you recall?
It was the code enforcement officer, that's who we had in there.
But we had some type of expense that came up recently that was safety inspection related.
The center.
Fire extinguishers, because we're a place of public.
Yeah, no, there's something else we were doing.
Wasn't the center?
No, I don't know, it slips my mind now. I thought maybe we should start populating that with something. but
What, were they senior center?
That's what I thought it was.
I'll have to try to think through what it was, but I'll leave this 0 right now, but.
What would it be costed out for? Give me an example of what would be.
I'm trying to think of, recently something came through my desk that I had to do that I looked at safety inspection as the right.
Would fire extinguishers and whatnot come out of that line?
No,
Well, I have to have fire extinguishers in the building, in buildings.
On buildings? Okay.
Yeah, no, this was something else. I gotta go through my notes again.
Yeah, let's not making sure we're not paying town for inspections.
No,
No,
this is
no.
contractual, it's not a
Hold
salary.
that back with MDA.
Yeah. No, this isn't salary, it'd just be contractual, but something came up with safety inspection. I gotta just remember what it is. All right, red store, nothing. Again, snow removal, I set at 40,000 because honestly, you have a good snow year, you're gonna use that money. So 40,000 and 52 remain for snow and snow, salt, and equipment. Street lighting, I set at 90,000. Our bills have been consistently in the 90s, even though rates are gone down a little bit, until we get LEDs and stuff like that.
We gotta vote on that, next meeting if we can, to do that, survey.
Okay.
That's the first thing we have to do before we start and deal with anybody in any capacity is have the survey, so even if we don't use them. we're gonna
I agree.
get to 'em.
Yeah, just maybe would be on the agenda for next meeting. Cool, thank you.
Okay, so street lighting's at 90 again. I'll populate all these things with version B, which you'll have on Monday. No, but I'll have it in your boxes, so you guys can review it. I'll be in.
Yeah,
over
our
the
meeting's
weekend.
next Monday anyway, it's not this one. The meeting that we're voting, no, I'm saying the meeting that we're voting on that.
Yeah, the
Seventh.
7th, because you got leap year, so there's no meeting Monday. Okay. Celebrations, I'm sorry, going back, beautification. Beautification set at 2,000, now that's, Gary had put that in.
Right.
You were at 54 for beautification, and so far
split
this
it up.
year. Huh?
You split it up, that's why it's 2,000, he's
Okay.
left the rest in.
Well, so far beautification this year, you've spent $830, you have a balance of $7,500. Now, the reason why is because it went up 3,000 because of a donation.
Right.
There's a budget adjustment. Okay, so, do you want 2,000 for beautification, leave it at 2,000, or?
You got trash cans and stuff.
I'd like to flip some of that over into it, yeah. Well, he's got 3,000 in park beautification. That's general beautification, like Main Street, which
Yeah.
actually, if we're, let's put it at 4. Not even so much for the trash cans, because I'd like to almost find other money for that, or find a different line, because it's gonna be expensive. I think the 4 needs to be general. We need to start having, not necessarily having us spending that kind of money, we gotta find money to better the Main Street. You know, not the whole bring down the lines thing, but just basic, we've gotta get some better, streetscaping going on from 9W into the village and throughout Main Street. So this is just gonna be like covering, but we need to find like 10,000 here, 15,000 here, and start making some major improvements.
A couple of years ago, or last year, you guys had couple concerts that you sponsored. Do you want to do anything with that this year?
We can, the person who did the concerts is actually raising money on her own and going out for, she found that in 2 or 3 other communities, that was what was going on. Originally, they were supported by the village, but then this person basically took it on themselves and said, we'll put 6 concerts on, supported by the village, but not financially.
Great.
It's Jill Lennon, she's doing that, she did 1 or 2 small events, she's doing the spring street fair, that's her, what's it on. So this year, it's all going to concerts. She wants to take it up a notch, she doesn't want to just do the concert, like when she already has like 3 or 4 different groups looking to come in depending on the money. She has a country group coming in, she doesn't want to just have a band. She wants to do the hay bales, she wants to have a collar, she wants to do she wants to make it an event. She wants to make it an event. Same thing with 2 or 3 other of her ideas. But though I would rather not support her here with this budget, I'd rather support her with the LDC and chamber. Because really the chamber should be the one that's helping to draw that kind of money in and having businesses sponsor those kind of events. Rather it comes directly out of taxes.
Is there going to be a spring event? A spring,
Fair?
yeah,
Street fair.
right.
So yeah, she's already got it all, I thought she had the paperwork in already. She does, yeah, it's been in for a while. So for that, but she has 2 or 3 other events that she has planned to raise money for this, as well as going out for straight sponsorship. She already has 3 or 4 sponsors lined up. So that should be very exciting. I'm always gonna be very excited. I've actually talked to Pat Kelly, who hopefully will have the bunker ready by April-ish, to possibly have one event at Lady Cliff. Build it up, build it up, build it up, and then to help his opening, everyone just go in afterwards type thing, get him off the street. So, hopefully.
I caught a glimpse
It's
of their
nice.
sign. Their sign is gorgeous.
Yeah,
They did a lot of nice work down there.
place looks phenomenal, and it's
Doesn't
only
look
gonna get
like
better.
the Desert Island, you
No.
know, you wouldn't even know.
No, and it's going to be, it's not gonna be another bar. It's gonna be so different.
It's no alcohol.
Well, it's more of a lounge, it's gonna bring a whole nother group in, and
Music.
mixed with the, I just saw the guy again, mixed with this other bar, what is it? Vapor bar. It brings that, it's an eclectic crowd that goes for that. And I was talking to someone the other day, when they talk about the, kind of the art community type, the 2 places, not just the one, but now 2 places. And then I was told by someone who was looking at I don't know, somebody who was doing the surveys on West Point, single soldiers, the main thing they were looking for in the village was either a vapor or hookah bar. That was the main thing they were looking to come off, and there is not one in a long area. So having that vapor bar and having Pat Kelly's place is going to be a big difference if we can advertise it, not just throughout our community, but outside the community, start really bringing people more in.
Someone of West
It's exciting.
Point people.
Yeah.
when they were up
He's
there.
gonna have that, he's
Didn't
also
know
across the
where
river, he's pushing it across the river as well.
Yeah,
The chaplain is doing some nice stuff too.
Snavely, Chaplain Snavely, or,
He's up at,
oh, the West Point Chaplain.
yeah,
Oh,
on Miller
okay.
Park. He's got 4 or 5 kids,
Oh, okay.
4 daughters and 1 son. And we brought in our speaker from the center who was down there talking about living in Nigeria, what it was like as a young boy to always come to America. Now as a citizen, he's making money. So it was good, the kids liked him.
Do we want to, so nothing to band and concerts on?
No,
Okay. Youth programs, we set aside 7, we've spent 4.
7.
7?
We used to give 10 to Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we cut it.
Well, no, you didn't get 10.
I thought we did.
I thought it was
No?
7,500.
Yeah.
7, they used to get 8, they
Seven.
cut it down
They
to
used to get the
7.
whole thing.
Right.
Now they get half.
You know, we set up some nice programs in the summer for kids to get them off the street. So, well, I don't know why.
Center.
Yeah, why your brothers and sisters.
Didn't we give them money already?
The center was supported, yes.
Yeah.
Center got $1,000.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I'm,
that's it? I thought they got half.
No,
No.
there's still 3,000 that the center could get if you
No.
wanted to give it to.
no, I'm just saying, why did,
I'll talk to you.
why did brother and sister things get it and, our local people don't?
It is used locally.
Yeah, Big Brother, Big Sister.
It's not used, it doesn't go to Newburgh. It goes to help the program locally. There's a person that's paid to be the local coordinator in the community. And she's the one who coordinates the cadets. The cadets don't get paid. But a person that coordinates it gets paid, and then they have activities that are paid.
Okay.
What we can do is, we can't not support the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. We can't.
No, you're right.
No, but you did.
But what
you
we need to do is bring Nancy down.
Mhm.
I've talked to Nancy about, it's tough with the budget, particularly now that we have the center, and we do have other areas that we should be helping out. If we're gonna help out Big
Does the
Brothers,
center have any?
we need to help out other things.
Because there is funding still there. I thought the center was earmarked. Oh, okay.
But
Can
we
we
all-
encourage Big Brothers and Big Sisters to utilize the center?
Well, that needs to be a meeting, because the Big Brothers Big Sisters could actually not just utilize it, but really work with, who knows if the center's got 20 kids that are not being serviced by the regular program, you know?
This is academia for little ones in the summer to keep them going.
Well, they do academia during the year, and they could do more stuff during the summer, depending if that's what here.
And Orange County's looking at us to do some training,
Good.
so.
But if Big Brothers Big Sisters are generally
That's what I'm
focused
assuming.
on cadets being the volunteers, then we do have a hiatus during the summer.
Well, not just that, what we need to do is hook them up also so that they can get more volunteers.
And thanks for being
cadets.
honest with me and telling me we had $3,000 left for the center.
I'm just repeating what I thought we decided.
I thought they were getting half.
We did, but obviously, we're not.
Well, no, I think where we left off last time, Brian, and this might have been 6 months ago, was that if the center had some expenditures that they needed, that this money would cover it
So-
through receipts.
Okay, so we can count on 3.
I wouldn't say 3. That's exactly what it was. What it was is, what we didn't want to do was give you all the money, so then other people would not fund you. That's what we didn't want to happen. We didn't want other people stopping supporting the center. So what our goal was is that,
For the receipts.
and that's something
So
that we need to know all the time. If you all of a sudden get into a bind, you need to know that we have set aside this amount of money here.
3,000, he said.
I'll check those numbers.
Can't hide.
I'll check them.
No, that's why we have a
I don't think
treasurer.
that's right.
I think he may have checked already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he just did.
thank you, Treasurer.
Okay, well, we can't count on that 3,000 anymore. Yeah,
Oh,
definitely,
is it-
definitely keep it at
Are we
7.
earmarking that back to the fund balance?
Did you
Is that
tell
what
me
we're
that
doing?
cap?
I was gonna go to the mayor's
Category?
contingency. I guess that's over.
Okay, so 77,000 to remain there.
He's giving away 3, putting 70 in the, this guy's
Okay, so
having.
7,000.
I guess it's okay.
All right, historian, now again, historian
Okay,
salary.
children.
Historian salary is now responsibility of the town. Do we want the contractual to stay at 1,000 for support for the historian, or where were we going with that?
Right now, we have to, that's our next step, is to, what we need to do is itemize
Right.
everything that we pay for the historian, and bring that to the town for the next following year.
But the town is taking care of the full.
Right, salary. So now we're asking them for the following year to take care of the contingency, paying the electric, basically paying for the rest of the costs we have upstairs. Phone, computer, internet, the whole 9. And actually making it a town historian. That we will still house here, but we're looking for the entire fund to be paid for by the town.
Okay, so, historians at 1,000.
Yes.
Okay. All right, celebrations, we've used 800 out of the 1,200 we set aside. I did mention to the board that with the way the 4th of July situation is, that the revenue that we get from Time Warner, I think you should put that into celebrations, and that would be your seed money to support the fireworks.
Yeah, definitely don't go lower than 12.
Well, no, you gotta fund it based on what your revenue is, unless you want to fund additional revenue. Your revenue is 5,000. So
Okay, keep it at that.
keep it at that, and then,
We'll go from there.
and then the expectation that the committee will fundraise, because I'll tell you right now, there,
Oh, no, I'm not looking, did we put any more money besides the 5,000 into this? Into celebrations?
we've never put the 5,000 in celebrations.
No, was there any money in celebrations?
Fourth of July.
1,200 those.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, 1,200,
That's what I'm saying.
okay,
Keep the 1,200 in.
so you don't want to put the 5 in,
Well, we can put that in also, but I want the 12.
so you want 62,
Correct.
6,200.
I'm not looking for any more, but I'm looking to have that for other things, if we wanna take other things up a notch. And again, things like flag raisings and whatnot, we're trying to get the chamber to take over, and other groups, so more appropriate.
All right,
But
so-
until that happens, I wanna make sure we have some funds if we need it.
All right, so 6,200 is the celebrations. Senior Citizen Center, it's my understanding that we want to have enough money for expenses for the senior citizens
Yes.
at this point. Right now, the senior citizens have spent 5,500 of the 17,000, and again, that's an adjusted budget number from the original budget. So there's about 11,000 remaining in
They're
that
looking
fund.
for a consultant. What do you get? I know, I understand that, I'm just saying, I got another call today. They want a
We'll
consultant.
talk about that, it's contractual, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, so I put 10,000 for senior center, and that would pay for oil, electric, cable, and then some other
Enough for
incidentals.
those costs?
Yeah, it should be.
Ten
Okay.
thousand more?
No, 10,000 flat,
A year.
Okay.
instead of 15, 10.
Not that it'll come out of this, but do we want to, look at gas for that building?
Al's got, something on the burner for like a new boiler or gas, I'm not sure if it's gas or, but a good point though, I don't know what's.
I'm just saying, when we're spending that 50 coming from DASNY,
Yeah, I don't know if they have gas
That
in the
comes.
building. Do they have a gas stove in there? I'm trying to remember. if that was-
it looked like a
I
gas
thought it
stove.
was, they may have gas there already, yeah.
Okay, only because when we do it, we need to look at everything and figure out what's best cost.
Well, we'll have that conversation with Al.
Okay.
Because I know that was one of the things that they were measuring the size, what they needed. I never discussed fuel source with them.
Good to go.
Okay, planning, we've already discussed.
Yep.
Nothing for CV administration. Benefits will be populated as I get all the updated information. Bonds will also be populated. Webling will disappear. So statute, we'll still have to have this line item in here, but there will be no money going into that.
Which one is that?
Webling Bridge.
Okay.
Okay, because that bond is done this year. You will have a 2016 bond, serial bond, and that's for the road reconstruction money. It's will be a small bond. First payment will be for $32,500 plus interest. I have to get the, as soon as we close on the bond, I'll get the schedule, payment schedule. Bond anticipation notes, you'll have no bans for the A fund, which is a good thing right now. So you'll have 3 serial bonds, your 2009, 2012, and 2016 bonds. One thing I will caution though, the way some of these bonds were structured years ago is heavily tilted toward higher fees or higher payments later in the life of the bond. So,
So those two that we have left are gonna be hitting us.
yeah, there'll be some increases and then they'll decrease, but it's, sometimes these things get crafted to feel a pain later than feel a pain when you incept the bond.
Do they do all their interest stuff? Is that how they do that?
Well, basically, if they make a smaller payment, then the interest accrues higher until you start getting principal. So, that's the way it's structured, okay? So that's all the A-Fund stuff. I will populate, over the weekend, all the information that I have up to this point. We'll have version B on Monday, and then on Wednesday, we'll pick it up with the police and, hopefully the fire department. Okay, if the fire department can give me their submissions before the weekend, then I can get them into the version, if it's possible. Okay, any questions?
I need a motion to go into that.
Motion on, is that?
Second.
I